Hello, Kaiju Seekers. Welcome back to another live broadcast of the Kaijunaut Drawcast. As you know, this segment of the channel is dedicated to everything Kaiju creature design, art related. Today, we're doing something semi different, and it'll be one of the first special features of a good friend of mine. This one's going to be dedicated specifically to Hoshi 0071's art, otherwise known as Antonio. He will be on in just a few moments, and he'll just be talking about his art, going through his process, and then this will be more of a one-on-one. To where later on, if we get through some of the stuff earlier than expected, we'll bring on uh, perhaps anyone else who might want to give their takes on his art, and then go from there. But I will go ahead and send him the invite to join. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. A bit of a special feature of his work. And we're going to be hopefully doing more of these down the line. I will be doing the usual roundtable drawcasts that we've been doing. As anyone knows who's been on or watched previous drawcasts before, you know that my whole thing is I want to feature whether they be close friends of mine and or just artists that I enjoy their body of work, feature them on, let them um, tell their processes, their stories, their art styles, go into that, into the nitty gritty. And so we're just waiting on him to show up, and then we'll get started with the special feature today. And let's see here. We do have a bit of a here we go. A bit of a new. Let's see if I could show that off. There you go, a new Drawcast thumbnail, and then here we are. Welcome, welcome.
Um, Greetings, Vic. How are you doing?
Let's see, give me 1 second. Let me see if I could just connect to my headphones. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you good. What's up? How are you doing?
Awesome. Doing good. How are you doing?
Nothing special all that much, other than the fact that 3 Days Grace, the band I watched since childhood, just released a new song today. So yeah.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I like 3 Days Grace. They're good.
Also, this new song really fits like my take on Space Godzilla. I highly recommend it. I think you'll like it.
Okay, I'll definitely check that out after the show. Since I know everyone has talked about your great taste in music, and it
Oh
goes
wait,
well with
thank you.
your art, I've heard.
Oh wait, thank you.
Hmm.
So, do you have
And
anything
so,
to? No, you can continue.
well, I was just gonna say, as I've said before, the last time I featured you on for a brief segment, is that whenever we show off our stuff, I feel like you tend to either be you have a lot you want to say, and or you want to know what people think about either your art or anything of your takes. Would you say that's about right?
Yeah, I guess. And the reason why is because I want to show people the types of things I'm doing or the art I'm capable of because I want to know every kind's opinion so that I know so I can either see what they think of it or something that I can improve on it.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, and I can definitely tell as someone who is more on the reserve side. Sometimes when you have those kind of roundtable discussions, you might not have either all the time in the world or all the opportunities to get that kind of process. But that's why I decided I want to do this more one-on-one thing where you just have a chance to show off your stuff and just tell us about it. And so I will be sharing my screen and showing off some of the work we have that you showed me in just a few moments. But first things first, let's just get through with a few of the things just to get started. Like, could you describe to me what your current process for doing your artwork is, and like how you just get into that?
Well, do you want me to say how did I like started my art career?
Yeah, you can go into that.
Okay, how should I say it? So, back in my little hippie days, when I was just a wee little lad, I was someone who really was not that into art because I thought it took me a lot to do it, and it took me a really long period of time to get used to it, or just I didn't want to do it because my sister was all into those types of things because whenever I asked her to draw something, she would do that. I was not very much into art because I thought it was too consuming, or just I didn't know the proper use of how to do it. So, and yeah, so as of 2014 or the early days of 2014, when I go to my grandma and my cousin was there, and during that he played a game called the Dragon Ball Z Tag Team Tenkaichi, and in that I was basically interested, and it basically started my interest in the Dragon Ball franchise in general. And I really, really dig the art style. I really loved how the characters looked, and I wanted to see what was up, what was the lore of this franchise, what are the names of these characters. So I want to know what was the newest thing that this franchise was doing because, I mean, I watched Dragon Ball when it was on TV, but I didn't really got used to it because I thought it was looked way too old school like because back then I was more into newer, more slightly more improved animes like Bakugan, Beyblade, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, you name it. And because of that, I thought Dragon Ball was way too old school for me. So when I heard that they
Hmm.
were making a movie in 2015 that was going to be a sequel to Battle Gods in which Goku fought Beerus and he became a Super Saiyan God, I was like super excited, like, oh my god, this was like my chance to finally be into Dragon Ball. And in that time, a newest Godzilla movie came out in which I'll be kind of real. I was kind of a bit afraid of Godzilla in 2014 because he looked kind of terrifying in those teaser trailers. So it took me a while to watch 2014, and this was time when I really didn't watch any of the trailers, so I was only looking at that teaser trailer alone. So when this newest Dragon Ball movie came out, it was going to be about Frieza and his return, his revival, if you will. However, in doing so, Goku and Vegeta they gain like new outfits and they look super cool, and they like Goku has this new gi on, and it doesn't no longer has that blue shirt on. It just is regular old orange gi, something akin to like his OG days in Dragon Ball. And Vegeta, he no longer wears his blue and his skin his outfit. He now has this very black and white and yellowish armor, if you will. And in doing so, I was like, "This looks so cool. I want to do something like that." And in doing so, I tried to draw Goku's ROF outfit, but I really sucked at it. And in doing so, made a promise that I'm going to do this. I'm going to try my absolute best to try to replicate Akira Toriyama's art style, and I will die on the hill until I finally perfect it, if you will. And now here I am, 10 years later. Here I basically create. Not only did I kind of emulate my Akira Toriyama's art style, but I also made it my own art style so that I make it differentiate from it. And well, here I am. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate in a lot of ways because I remember that same time when Battle of the Gods, Resurrection F, and all that was coming out. I remember that time as well, and it was a partial inspiration to me too because I remember what I got into art was basically anime and all that stuff coming out.
And
I wanted to. draw anime myself, so that's how I got started too.
But in that sense, during those 5 years when I got into Dragon Ball, I was also kind of picked on and bullied by people
Mm,
because they thought I was some weirdo who constantly drew big buff dudes with massive hairs, and I was made fun of for all kinds of things, and I was also made fun of for drawing dinosaurs instead of looking at other things like sports and just hanging out with other boys who were constantly were picking on me and just made fun of me in general.
mm,
And it didn't help the fact that I was kind of a really rough childhood in general, in which I was kind of a little bit lonely, and my parents constantly get into fights, and my dad also kind of sometimes told me to stop doing this, stop drawing these stupid characters and their big dumb muscles and focus on study. And in doing so, I kind of sort of sometimes regret doing this, and I felt like I didn't want to do this, but damn it all, I tried. I tried my best to not only do these, but also improve on my skills so that I could get better and better. And no matter what, I never stopped. And now I not only did I got so much better, but I found so many people who legit really appreciate how I do my style and my artwork. And nowadays, my mom and dad and even my sister really adore how I draw my characters, and they really are really appreciate me and really want me to improve and do my absolute best.
awesome. And sorry to hear about all that rough stuff you may have had growing up and all the teasing and things. I definitely have heard many similar stories to that when it comes to artists. Sometimes they're discouraged or othered for having that kind of passion. It's not a real job. But I say all your hard work is definitely paying off. So then let's see, let's start to get into some of your specific art pieces. So I'll probably just be going through some of the stuff you sent me here just one by one. Let me just make sure. Yep, there we go. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen, and then you can have the floor and then just keep talking about either the specific pieces you want me to share, or if there's anything you want to add that you may have not before. But let me know if you're seeing this on screen right now.
Yes, yes, I can very much see it.
There you go. The Angerous one here was just the first one of the bunch you sent me. If you want to talk about anything more, or let me know if you want me to go on to the next one.
Okay, so for this design of Anguirus, I want to make it feel as though the heavy inspiration for this design was obviously Anguirus, no, Ankylosaurus from the Jurassic movies, but not just any Ankylosaurus, but the Ankylosaurus from the games. Okay, is it okay if I present something?
Sure. If there's anything more, you can just send me it.
No, it's okay. It's gonna be very quick, I promise.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Okay, here we go. It's nothing special. Okay. You
Yeah,
can
just
see
let me
it,
know if.
right?
Did you just send it
Oh,
to me? Let's see. Let me just
I
stop sharing. And then, did you send it to me in the chat, or did you? Or oh, there you go.
um
I'm gonna add it to
okay.
stage right now.
Okay, no, this is not the one. It's here. Okay, here it goes. Just a little further, and yeah, do you see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be
Yeah.
on screen right
So
now.
this will. Do you see it?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
the Ankylosaurus is you're showing here, right?
yep. So this was my main inspiration because I wanted to make my Anguirus feel slightly stand out. So by doing so, I want to pay some respect to it while making it feel as though this is my version. So I wanted my Anguirus to like be a version of Anguirus who's very much like an underdog, someone who, well, he might lose a couple of fights. He still is someone who will never give up, and also is someone who's probably one of the more friendlier Titans in no, not kind of kaiju's in my Godzilla universe. So I guess why is because I wanted my version of Anguirus to be kind of like the Bombi of my Godzilla universe, someone who is both friendly, but at the same time, someone who is a very loyal companion to my version of Godzilla and my version of Mothra. And he's also one of the more younger Titans, so that he's someone who can, get you in the field, if you will.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then let me see here. That's very interesting. I can see where you got your little inspirations, and it's cool to see how you do your process there. So for each one of these, if you just wanna,
Yeah,
just
you
go
can.
into a little bit of the stuff there. I'm gonna
You,
show the next one. I'm sharing
okay.
my screen right now. Let's see this one here, Biolante.
Okay, yeah, so Biolante. The reason why I made her like this is because I wanted Biolante to be like somewhat of an eldritch being, something like a she's kind of like Godzilla Earth, except she's like very much a plant-based kaiju. While at the same time, I want her to be like the biggest thing in my universe, someone thing that is truly a dangerous being to both the not just Godzilla, but all the other creatures on the planet. And in doing so, I wanted a creature that's not only very, very terrifying to look at, but also genuinely a somewhat of a tragic being, which you can see it in if you see it in her eyes, she has like a very red like tears to her. You can see it right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, almost like Kiryu in the sense, where it has that theme of showing how they have tears in the design.
Yeah.
That's a very cool detail.
Also, on her chest, you can see that she has some slightly bit of orange tints to her because it's like a some bit of energy pulsating through her veins, so that she's kind of like a creature who's constantly has to feed on life force of the earth in general, so that she can sustain herself while at the same time grow so big that she can like become like the true like being that's like the true god of this of Earth, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very interesting here. And I can see she's super big. That's the Statue of Liberty there.
Yeah,
All right. And then is that about it for
yeah, that's pretty much
awesome?
it.
Let's see. So then let's see. Next one. There you go. This is a very cool one.
So, what are your thoughts on this
Destroya.
design of Destroyer?
I think it's very cool. You definitely bring out a lot of its. Let's see. What how to describe Destroya? It's very Destroya. I I'd say that. Very gruesome and edgy. I like it a
Im-
lot. It's very cool.
Well, imagine Doomsday from the DCAU universe, if
Mm,
you will.
yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that influence there. He'd fit right in, and like
Well, at the same
if this
time,
was like the MonsterVerse one.
no, this is like my version of Destroyer. If you didn't know, I do plan on making like my own Godzilla universe with my own take on
Mm-hmm.
their personalities.
Yeah. No, I was just meaning to say like if this was like a MonsterVerse design, it would fit right in into the new comic they're doing with DC. Since you mentioned Doomsday,
Oh,
it's
speaking of Justice League versus Godzilla vs Kong, how would you feel if they announced that they're gonna make like an animated movie of it?
I would be very excited if they do an animated movie about it. I've watched a few of their new stuff with their animated projects, and I think they're always pretty good. They're pretty good movies. So if they do a MonsterVerse crossover one about the comic, I think it would be very cool.
By the way, is it okay if I present another thing? What the one thing
Sure.
that's it's gonna be quick. So
Yeah, no problem. Whenever you're ready, I'll present it.
okay, can you see it?
Let's see. I'll be adding it to stage right now. Yeah, I see it.
Yep. So this character is from a anime that I watched as a kid called Bakugan. Do you know Bakugan?
Yeah, I know Bakugan.
So this character is the main villain slash main antagonist of the third season called Bakugan Gundalian Invaders, and his name is Darak, and in Darak and the main Bakugan Drago, they are basically like the destined arch rival slash arch nemesis of each other because both of their species were like destined to constantly fight each other and bring an end to like their own war. Whereas Drago or Dragonoid from Bakugan is like the ultimate, like the strongest Bakugan of the story, whereas Darhak is the strongest Bakugan of Gandalia, and in doing so, the reason why Dark was the main inspiration for my design of Destroy is because I wanted Destroy to be not only like a Doomsday as character, but also I wanted Destroy to feel like a enemy that's very personal to Godzilla, while at the same time
Hmm.
an enemy that's truly like an unstoppable force of destruction that needs to be legit put down out of its misery. It really cannot be alive because if it doesn't stop, it will not only destroy Earth but also destroy the entire solar system if you'll have perfect cell.
Hmm. Yeah, I think you definitely pulled off the look to give off that impression there. All right, let's see here. Share screen. Boom. And anything more to say on Destroyer, or are we good to move on to the next?
Um, uh, if you're wondering why I choose to give Destroy the red eyes, it's because I want him to like be to have well, he's going. He cannot fire at his mouth. Sometimes he could also fire it out of his eyes, so that he can both thousands of beams can shoot from him, not just from his eyes, but also from his mouth, from his tail, but also his wings. Because if you see it in his wings, he has also these orbs-like things on his to show that he can also fire it out of them.
Mm.
Something that's very something that's I can say is something that will be made to sell toys. But hey, that's how it is.
Yeah, very cool. I think that's a cool concept.
But also, I really don't see this version of Destroy appearing in the monsters because of how it's very cartoonish because it has very big
Mhm.
arms and big legs. To show I wanted my universe to feel differentiated from the monsters because while monsters sometimes tries to go for a realistic tone, I want my universe to feel very crazy, over the top, very 2000s
Mm.
punk rock aesthetic. Like
Yeah,
something akin to a certain manga that I'm reading right now, which is okay if I show you like the manga I'm currently following.
sure. Let's see.
It's gonna be another one of those, so be one. Here it goes.
Let's see. Okay, adding to stage right now. Let's see. What is this?
You can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the manga. This is the manga slash anime. I am so excited for it because it's coming out this month. The manga is called Gachi Akuta, and it's easily one of my personal favorite mangas out there because I really, really adore the aesthetic of this manga. I loved how the characters look. I love the lore of this universe, and I adore the character designs, and I especially love the art of this manga. Because
Mm.
of that, I wanted to make a Godzilla universe that has this type of aesthetic, if you will, this very 2000s, very kind of sort of punk rock slash metal feel to it. I wanted my universe to be not only make it something that appeals to me, but also be a universe that's something that's very much a love letter to the entire franchise. So in doing so, I want a Godzilla universe that has this type of aesthetic, this very aesthetic similar to this type of manga. So is it okay if you have something to say about this manga?
Well, I haven't read it or anything as of yet, but seeing the artwork, I want to say I've definitely seen people talk about it. Um, and hearing you talk about it, I can definitely see why it's something that you enjoy. Honestly, seeing the art alone, I might pick it up in the near future since it does look very cool. I definitely agree with the whole 2000s punk rock aesthetic, which is very fitting for you as well, and I like that a lot. So yeah, like I said, definitely going to be looking into this one since I know
Also,
you've also recommended it before.
also, if you're wondering, the anime is coming out in July 6th. So if you have now the
Oh.
time, so you can either watch the anime or read the manga. It's your choice.
Yeah, that's pretty soon. So yeah, definitely, I'll definitely be checking out the anime when it comes out, and then maybe for sure checking out the manga since I do like manga as well.
Also, it's not just Gachi after the bus. Also, the graffiti artist Hideyoshi Ando was also one of the main inspirations of mine because Ando really is like the king of when it comes to making graffiti aesthetic.
Mm,
I love how he does his graffiti like style to him, and in doing so, I want to make a Godzilla universe that oozes graffiti aesthetic to it. So I wanted a not just this like a Godzilla universe that feels like something that would be in home with like the music videos from the like Skillet or 3 Days Grace, but also it will be something that the kids from my time of year would absolutely enjoy watching it. So yeah.
hmm Yeah, most definitely. Lots of cool stuff there. And then let's see here. Mhm.
Okay, you can now go. But
Awesome. All right, and then let's see. Move on to the next one.
yes.
Awesome. Here we go, Gabra.
So what are your thoughts on this design, Gabriel?
Let's see. So first impressions, it's very different. Um, let's see here. Almost, I'm gonna say it's like Godzilla '98 levels of different, but I can definitely see the personality coming through, and the design itself I do like a lot. It looks really cool.
If you're wondering, the reason why I did the Gabra like this or have this type of design is because in one of the interviews for Godzilla's Revenge, the main director told has said that one of the main inspirations for Gabra's design was either cats, frogs, or the Oni from the Japanese mythology. So because of that, I want to go with like that type of style to it, while also getting like some more of a rebellious nature, while at the same time, or you could say a bully nature, considering he's kind of a jerk in Godzilla's Revenge.
hmm Yeah, and that personality really comes through. So I think you always do good with showing the personality of the kaiju in your artwork. So that's a good thing you're able to do.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's that. Here we go, Gigan. Ooh.
Any thoughts?
Well, yeah. First impressions, I like it a lot. Um, let's see. It definitely has that Gigan aesthetic, but also just has this cool flow of your same aesthetic too. And it's definitely a unique take, but it definitely it oozes Gigan. It reminds me of like um, something that like Trendmasters for like the Beast Wars line that they had, or the Godzilla Wars line. It reminds me of something like that, or like the Doom Island one that was canceled. It reminds me of something like that.
On
But yeah, if you want to go into anything.
yeah, for Gigan, like I said before, this universe of mine, this Godzilla universe that I'm making, it's very much the love letter to 2000s in general. So because that Gigan embodies like the early 2000s feel to it, and obviously the main inspirations was the Final War's take on Gigan, but at the same time, I wanted my version of Gigan to feel more organic. So in doing so, I also paid homages to the OG design from the Showa era because I wanted Gigan to genuinely feel. Um, how should I say this? I wanted Gigan to be a creature that's very alien-like, but also a creature that's very something that you can feel like that's from a different planet, but also something that's also
Hmm.
from Earth.
Yeah, and in a sense, it's a very biomechanical type of design. I feel.
Oh, cool. So,
Yeah, I think.
any
Yeah.
no, you can say.
Oh no, I was just more of that. But what do you want to say?
No, I was going to say, if you're wondering, this Gigan is very much an alien. So,
Mm-hmm.
no, he's not from Earth. He's very much a being from Zillion. Yes, Zillions are canon in my universe, and he also managed to be just as much of a threat to other Godzilla as he is here. So yeah,
Hmm.
can we move
Have you
move on?
done art? Yeah, have you done artwork of the Zillions though?
No, not yet. Though
Mm-hmm.
I have drawn some of the human designs, but they're not
Mm.
Godzilla related. You'll see them when we get to them.
Yeah, I would love to see them. Definitely with your style. But let's see. Moving on, we have Gorosaurus.
Any thoughts?
I'd say first impression is looks pretty cool. It's definitely one of the more unique designs we've seen out here. I do like the shape of the head. The head looks really cool, and the tail is interesting. It looks like he's got more going on. So you can go ahead and explain the design philosophy here.
Okay, so for Gorosaurus, since the so the reason why I did is because in this continuity of mine, King Kong, Gamera, or Ultraman do not exist because why don't Kong didn't I put Kong or Gamera or Ultraman here is because I kind of did it because I want to do it so like they're the what if characters. So what if Kong is in my universe, or what if Gamera is in my universe, or what if Ultraman is in my universe? So yeah. As for Gorosaurus, the reason why I drew him like this is because I wanted Gorosaurus to feel like he's a creature that can both exist, something that's a very apex predator like, while at the same time feel like a creature that would legit exist in the more tropical environments of the other islands. Something like the islands from the first Godzilla movie, or the the islands from King Kong Escape, or King Kong versus Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
And also
Awesome.
also the main inspiration for this design Gorosaurus were other Carcharodontosaurs like Carcharodontosaurus, Giganotosaurus, or Mosasaurus. The reason why is I didn't want my Gorosaurus to feel like just another Tyrannosaur. I wanted my version to stand out and be like his own version, something that both are kind of he's kind of is like a little love letter to all the other versions of Giganotosaurs that appear in media, where the Giga is super oversized and super big, and it can absolutely tear apart anybody, like the
Mm.
Giganotosaurus from Dino Crisis or the Giganotosaurus from Ark Survival Evolved. So yeah,
Awesome. I could definitely see that. So you did a good job of paying homage to that. All right. Are we good to go to the next one?
yes.
Awesome. Ooh, here we go. Hedora.
Any thoughts?
Wow. Ooh, it's another super interesting one. I like the skull face thing here you got going on. And then super interesting body type. Kind of reminds me of Red King with the big arms and stuff. So super interesting. If you want to go into your
Also, a
this one.
question: is Minecraft World or is Zimzilla gonna show up in this live stream?
Um, I guess it just depends on if they're if they're either watching the stream or if they're even awake. I don't know what time it is for them. I think they're both like 3 hours ahead of us. But yeah, later down the line, if they're available, we can definitely bring them on. Once you're done going through all your stuff, and they can give their thoughts too. Or if there's anyone in the chat that leaves anything, I'll definitely feature that.
Okay, so Hedora. The reason why I drew Hedora like this is because Hedora in my continuity is not an alien, so he's not a creature from. He's not an inter. Uh, he's not an extraterrestrial being. I wanted the reason why I did is because I wanted my version of Hedora to feel like a creature that's just like Godzilla is a creature born from radiation or in this case pollution because I wanted my Hedora to basically be a lover to Hedora but also feel like it's its own version of it. In doing so, I wanted Hedora to feel kind of is like a Godzilla's equal, someone who is genuinely is a creature that is both a tragedy, but at the same time a creature that's kind of is goofy to look at. And obviously, one of the main inspirations for my version of Hedora was Clayface from Batman Arkham City game
Mm.
because I wanted Hedora when he fights Godzilla. He's like a creature that doesn't have a skeleton, and basically he's able to constantly morph and basically do different types of body style to it, and so that he's a very a very unpredictable opponent whenever Godzilla tries to face him off.
Yeah, I could. That sounds very cool. I definitely like the whole Clayface aspect of it. I think Clayface makes for a good inspiration for Hedora.
Also, if you're wondering the reason why I gave him like a big old brain under his head is because I wanted Hedora to feel like a creature that's constantly absorbing humans left and right, or not just humans, but also other life forms to not only get stronger, but also get smarter so that he can constantly improve and basically make his own version of Earth, something where he can constantly thrive and constantly pollute people everywhere and also the terrain wherever he goes.
I see. Now that's a cool aspect. I think you might want to. Let's see, because honestly, I thought that was like hair coming down, but I can definitely see the whole brain aspect now. But that's very cool.
So
All right,
let's move on.
awesome. Let's see here. Oh wow.
Any thoughts?
Okay. First impression is it's very cool. Jet Jaguar. It feels very like emperor like feels very regal. So yeah, go ahead, give your design process on this one. Definitely want to hear it.
Okay, so for my version of Jet Jaguar, I want him to. When I looked at his design in the Godzilla vs. Megalon, I thought it looked kind of too busy and too. Yeah, it's too much color. I like. I get why Kaiju could put it out best because Jet Jaguar was a robot made in the 70s. Obviously, yeah, I get it. But at the same time, I wanted my version of Jet Jaguar to I want him to simplify the color so he only he has two, sometimes three base colors. So whenever you see him, obviously the color that will stand out is yellow, while at the same time it will be red. The reason why is because I wanted the Jaguar to like be a robot that makes his name actually feel accurate. He's a jet, but also has the color of a jaguar. So I want to do something like that.
Okay, it's definitely interesting. Was there any like? Because I'm looking at this now, it looks very like old school, like samurai or daimyo. I think That's how you pronounce it, daimyo. It looks very ancient in a way.
But yeah, yeah, you. I guess you can say that. So the reason why I gave Judge Jaguar these samurai aspects of him is because I wanted him to feel like he's both a creature, a robot that was designed for combat, while at the same time he's also a robot that has a very samurai or this bushido sense of code to him, so
Mm-hmm.
that he can. You can basically follow his own shogun, if you, or in this case, his master that built him. So that, well, at the same time, I wanted my version of Jaguar to be still slightly goofy and also be have some more comedic moments to him, so that he's not all serious, super duper raw coolness. I wanted still Jet Jaguar to be Jet Jaguar. I want him to feel to have some sense of fun to him, some sense of excitement. So whenever kids see him, it's not gonna be the sense of dread whenever King comes by. It's gonna be, oh my god, it's Jet Jaguar. Let's cheer him up so he can punch a kaiju in the face. Whoa!
Yeah, man, that sounds very cool. So yeah, this one's definitely one of my favorites. All right, good to move on.
Yes.
Awesome. Oh, let's see. Looks like we went through all of your Godzilla kaiju.
No.
So then,
There's still.
oh, just another page. Okay, there
Yep.
you go. All right, so King Caesar.
Okay, for King Caesar, I changed him to the least is because to me, King Caesar already, in my opinion, had a really solid design to him. He had a very cool god, Lord Caesar from the Japanese mythology is designed to him. So because of that, I want him to go keep his almost like this lion slash dog hybrid to him. While at the same time, I wanted him to feel like he's has that royalty to him. And that's why you can kind of see a green orb that's sticking out on his forehead, if you will. You can close it up.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why is because he, like I said, King Caesar is a king. He is a god slash kaiju that constantly is worshipped by his people around him, his civilians, so that people don't. They are not. I won't say they are afraid of him. They mostly just they don't worship him. They mostly see him as a really cool superhero slash king that's constantly there to protect them. While at the same time, they very much respect him, so that they constantly give him all sorts of foods, all sorts of jewelry, so that he can be. They can. So they respect him, and he doesn't have to attack them left and right. And in doing so, he's probably one. He like Anguirus and Mothra, he's more of the pure-hearted Titans, the ones who won't attack humans, and he's very much someone who is very much into those spirituality things like Mothra. In my version, King Caesar and Mothra are something like a creatures who are very much have those beings that are there to be their worshippers. Like Mothra has her Shobajins, while King Caesar has like his own knights or one knight, because all his people, his the civilians that once worshipped him, no longer there with him because they are dead or forgotten about him, and because King Caesar is now back in time, back in the modern day, or in this case, 2000s, he basically wants to regain that trust, regain that loyalty to him, so that he can be seen once again by the people as the pure-hearted king that was seen by the people around him.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that definitely sounds very King Caesar like. And I do definitely like this design a lot. I can see how you still remained faithful to the overall look, but you added your own flair to it, which I really like. I really like the body type, and then the longer tail. I think is really cool. I think you can get like a lot of cool action with this guy.
Yeah, the
Um,
reason why I gave him the more longer tail, as opposed to give him more of a shorter tail, is because, like I said, I want to go with a lion slash dog
mhm,
hybrid as a feel to him because I wanted King Caesar to be someone that you can genuinely feel like he's there, and he's someone that can be a creature that you genuinely feel like everything's gonna be alright. And because he's a part dog, obviously he's very much someone who's loyal to humanity. And
mhm.
what's the thing about dogs? Dogs are man's best friend. So because of that, I
Yeah.
wanted King Caesar to have that sense of friendliness to humanity. While at the same time, because he's part lion, what are the lions thing for? They're both associated with pride and strength. And because of that, I wanted King Caesar to be associated with pride and strength. He's a royalty, for crying out loud.
Yeah. All right. Very cool, man. All right. Next one.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, here we go.
Any
One of the
thoughts?
big five. Yeah. Very cool right off the bat. I guess since this is very, like a very alien design, but also very much King Ghidorah, and it's very unique.
Also, you can see
Um,
the blue whale there.
oh yeah, there you go. There's the blue whale.
You can see just how massive he is.
Oh yeah, yeah. I feel like this is a very good portrayal of the size, since technically in the Showa era, Ghidorah is like the biggest one, but he's not that much bigger than Godzilla. But here you can definitely tell the size difference.
So, Ghidorah, my version of Ghidorah. What can I say that hasn't been said already? Like I said, I want these versions of the Godzilla cast to be very respectful to the original, while at the same time make it as though this is my version. So, Ghidorah in this continuity is very much like Showa Ghidorah, where he is a alien dragon that's constantly going around terrorizing planets, while at the same time, this version of Ghidorah is very much like the Planet Eater Ghidorah, where he's like a far more, I wouldn't say Lovecraftian, but very much leads to that cosmic horror vibe to him, because I want Ghidorah to genuinely feel like a truly unstoppable menace, a truly, genuinely terrifying creature that it has to take everyone to genuinely to stop him. He is truly is the embodiment of evil and malice. He very much is a creature that's needs to be stopped. Not only is this version of Ghidorah the I wouldn't say the strongest, but he's definitely like the top five strongest in my
Mhm.
continuity. It, Ghidorah in my version is a creature that's literally a force of nature. Not only the aliens that basically created him felt like he was too much to be controlled, but also Ghidorah constantly was rebelling against him, but at the same time, he was the very creature that destroyed his creators, while at the same time constantly destroying planets, solar systems. Sometimes I wouldn't say galaxies, but at the same time, he is very much a creature responsible for the cluster of planets being wiped out, and he's a good. At the same time, I wanted this version of Ghidorah to not. I didn't want him to be this rampaging, raging beast of rage. I wanted Ghidorah to have that sense of royalty to him, something that's very prideful in his strength. At the same time, wants to be genuinely be never be topped by anything around him. Ghidorah in this
Mhm.
version is very much a prideful, arrogant asshole that's not something to be trifled with. But at the same time, he has a sense of fear that somebody out there is going to be better than him, and very much a creature that's going to take his place, which is why is constantly going around to make sure that there is not a single being or creature that's going to stop him, because he wants to be remain as the king, King Ghidorah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. All sounds very cool, and would definitely love to see that play out in the story you're doing. But yeah, very faithful to Ghidorah and very, very much you. So I say
How would you
great job
how
on
would,
doing that.
how would you feel it? How would monstrous Godzilla feel about this version of Ghidorah?
Well, I know he certainly wouldn't like him. He'd
Oh,
probably see it
cool.
as like this big threat. So I can definitely see him being a good rival, like just like the one he has now.
But it's like I said, I didn't just want my version of Ghidorah to be a homage to Showa era. I wanted him to only to feel also kind of is some inspirations were took from the anime version because I'm one of the few people who kind of does like the
Mm.
anime version of Ghidorah because of his very more horror aspect to him. So because that, I want him to go for that type of aesthetic for Ghidorah. Hence why he has those little these little eyes to him. But at the same time, I wanted to give him free eyes because I still wanted to make him feel like he's an alien creature. Also, as for why he has these circles around his wings or the one giant X-like circle around his chest is because I want him to still have that sense of past to him that he's a creature that wasn't born but created by the civilization that made him. If you're wondering, no, it weren't the aliens because I wanted Ghidorah to very much be his own creature that is someone that's not controlled by Zillions or any other organization. This version of Destroyer would never bow to anybody and it would refuse to be controlled. It's his mind is already chaotic as it is, so to anyone who dares to control him will all perish underneath his feet.
Oh, awesome, man. Very cool. I definitely do like the markings. They look very interesting. Alrighty.
Any thoughts on his chest tattoo that he has?
I think it's very cool. I can definitely I think it's very cool. I like the markings. It's all this one's really cool in particular.
Okay, we can move on.
Haha, awesome. Here we oh Megalon.
Any thoughts?
Let's see. Very interesting. I like let's see, I like the look. I definitely like Megalon designs that go a bit more like stylized bug aesthetic. Uh Megalon isn't my favorite design, but there's a lot of things that like I see other people do with him that I like. I like how he's basically he reminds me of something like some of the Ben 10 alien bug designs and then Cockroach Terminator from the 2012 TMNT. So I
Oh,
definitely like that about him.
oh, that's sweet. So, Megalon. What can I say about Megalon, or at the very least, this version of Megalon? Well, first of all, this version of Megalon is a very much a creature that was not worshipped by anybody. The reason why I wanted him to not have someone who worships him is because I felt like Megalon being worshipped by anybody kind of I wasn't a fan of that, so because I wanted this version of Megalon to feel like a creature that stands out. He's a kind of is like Gigan, where he's a rebel. He's someone who doesn't abide by anybody, and he doesn't follow rules to anybody. And because he wants to basically live in a world where he and the other people, or at the very least other kaijus like him, who don't follow anybody, to basically thrive in. He wants to be a like some sense, not really, but a kaiju that is basically seen as a hero to people around him. He kind of is like Judge Jaguar, where he's silly, but at the same time can be someone who who is not someone to underestimate. Hence why he kind of sort of has a rivalry with Judge Jaguar, but at the same time, you could say he also has a kind of a little bit of a rivalry with Anguirus, considering he's someone who's also Not really, but yeah, kind of is a sidekick to a already popular kaiju. Like Anguirus is a sidekick to Godzilla, whereas Megalon is a sidekick to Gigan. So in doing so, I want to do kind of like a contrast, like similarity slash parallelism to them. While at the same time, like Gigan, I wanted these two to feel like they don't want to be ordered around, and they want to like live in their own world where they can do whatever they want.
Wow, that's a pretty interesting dynamic that I don't hear a lot of people see. So he's more like a hero type here
No,
than typical.
no, I wouldn't say Megalon is a hero. He is very much if I were to compare this version of Megalon, he's kind of is like a Saturday morning kids cartoon villain where he's someone
Oh,
who's
I see. So that kind of rivalry then.
yeah, he and Gigan are like they're kind of like bumbling idiots of some sort. Except
Oh, I
Gigan is
see.
yeah, Gigan is the more smarter of the two. Well, Megalon is the more brutish, like a muscle of the duo.
Cool.
Well, at the same time, I didn't just want them to be Saturday morning cartoons. Well, I wanted like Gigan and this version of the Megalon to still have some sense of relatability to them. Hence why made them rebels because I wanted them to be the kaijus who don't want to follow Godzilla's rules or King Ghidorah's rule or anybody's rules. They want to live their own lives, and damn it, nobody will stop them to do so.
Yeah, I see. Awesome. Very cool. Again, love the
Also,
design.
no, you can say what you
Oh
said.
no, you can go.
Yeah,
You can
so
go.
I think Zenzala put it best when he said that my universe is basically the absolute universe of the kaiju universe, and I don't know if I find it intentionally funny or just yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see where he's coming from. All
Okay,
right.
moving on.
Awesome. Ah, here we go. Mothra. Very small.
Any thoughts?
I like it. I mean, it's pretty. I like the simplistic look, but it definitely has that nice edge to her.
Very 2000s feel to it.
Yeah. It looks very cool. I like it.
So, what can you tell me about Show Mothra's personality?
Hmm. Let's see. Yeah, I think there's lots of ways you can describe the show of Mothra. Like she's very let's see, what would be good? She's definitely caring since she does care about humanity when it counts, and then also her egg as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, so as for my version of Mothra, the reason why I choose to make Mothra um, basically kind of something that I didn't change a lot is because, like I said, I wanted Mothra to be like one of the kaijus that's the embodiment of pure good. She's like one of the few kaijus in my universe that genuinely a creature that is seen as like the embodiment of pure good, someone who is genuinely a being that wants best for everybody, both humanity and kaiju alike. And doing so, I wanted Arthur to be like the kaiju that is someone who wants the balance or slash peace to for humanity and the kaiju because she wanted the humanity and kaijus to coexist so that they can genuinely create a universe, a world where they can all thrive and live a very peaceful and happy life. However, there are so many kaijus out there that genuinely do not want any of that. They don't want humanity. They hate them. They despise them for what they are. Some of them genuinely want them gone because one of the main kaijus that were created were because of humanity, because they're constant radiations or pollutions, and because that there are so many conflicts around them. And because Mothra has to resort to sometimes hurting other characters so that they can stop hurting each other or humanity, so that they can basically learn to just simply either move on or just leave humanity alone, so that no violence can be caused anymore.
All right. Yeah, that definitely sounds very Mothra esque, and so and again I do like the design. I like all the colors you did. I
All
think
right,
that's a
thank
good
you.
way to color Mothra. Something about the head and the eye shine, the little subtle eye shine. I think it's very good. I like the extended antennae. That's very cool.
Also, if you're wondering if my version of Godzilla is like a monstrous Godzilla, no, he's not. He's very much he's kind of is like Heisei Godzilla or Fine Wars Goji, where he's
Mm,
someone who genuinely he either doesn't care about humanity or just hates them for what they are. And
mm,
in doing so, he's someone who doesn't want to have anything to do with humanity. He just wants to be left alone. And if they are trying to either kill him or just stop him from trespassing other parts of Japan, he will resort to absolute violence and just wait them all out.
awesome. All
So yeah,
right. Next one.
yes.
Awesome. Oh, here we go. Orga.
Any thoughts?
It looks very cool. It's an interesting take on the design since this one looks like a quadruped design.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool. It's got like a Shin Godzilla going on over here.
yeah. So Orga, the the reason why I drew Orga like this is because, like I said, Orga in the Godzilla Millennium or the Godzilla 1999, he's basically kind of is an alien that's supposed to replace Godzilla or basically be. He wants to copy Godzilla's DNA so that he can be like another Godzilla. Instead, he basically becomes this deformed abomination, kind of like Shin Godzilla. So why did I choose to give Urga Shin Godzilla vibes to him or some sort of similarities to him? Why? Well, it's because I wanted this version of Urga to feel like a version of it. I wanted Urga to feel like a someone who wants to be with someone who is very much invested in Godzilla. He kind of is kind of like Godzilla's number one fan, if you will. In doing so, he is both constantly watches him, constantly sees him, constantly sees his fighting moves, how he does, how he acts, how he sees other people around him, and wants to emulate that. So when Godzilla and Orga do fight each other, and Ghidorah, no, Orga basically becomes this thing. He basically wants so hard to be Godzilla, but in doing so, he becomes this deformed abomination. He wants to be. Gorga is a lonely creature because he never once felt like there were anyone just like him. So he wants to find someone who is someone who's similar to him, while at the same time he wants someone who just loves him, someone who wants him to spend time with him. And because Godzilla rejects him, he just wants to kill him and basically take his place so that he becomes Godzilla.
Mm, okay. Yeah, very interesting backstory. And then his personality definitely shines through.
Is it
Yeah.
accurate to his 2000s look, or is it different?
It's a bit of both, honestly. Like the head, I definitely like the way the head looks. That's very faithful to Orga. Looks very Orga. I like how he's like has those like almost like Godzilla spines going on in the back. So like I
Mask
think like
inter.
yeah, like if you were to just make him upright, it would look just like Orga. But I like how different he is with this quadruped design. Are these like, are these part of his actual body, or are those like what are
They're kind,
these?
those are kind of like sort of his chains or locks, if you will.
Okay,
The
I thought
reason why
so.
is
Because
because his civilizations or the people or aliens that create him, they still wanted Orga to feel like that he's their property. So because that
mm,
he has to constantly wear these locks around him so that he doesn't obey he doesn't try to resist or obey them. So he can basically follow the rules without stopping or just doing other things other than doing their rule.
I see. Very interesting. All right.
So
Next one, or is there
yes,
anything?
yes, there's more.
Uh,
You can see on the up and down.
okay. Uh, here we go.
Here.
No, Rodan. Ooh,
So Rodan. Well, what can I say about my take on Rodan other than the fact that, like I said, I wanted my version of Rodan to basically be a love letter while at the same time stand out. This version of Rodan is like he's not the last of his kind because I wanted this version to be. I wanted this version of Rodan to have others like him so that he isn't someone who. I didn't want Rodan to feel like a tragic character because I feel like there's already too many tragic monsters in general in the Godzilla universe. So to have other kaijus like Rodan and Gearus, King Caesar, sometimes maybe, but not really Megalon. So I wanted them to feel like the kaijus who have others like him, so that he is not just a lonely creature, but someone who is kind of is like a idiot or like the black sheep of his tribe, so that whenever he thinks that he's better than anybody. He's so prideful, so arrogant. He thinks he's the top dog of everybody until there are other Kaidus who are clearly stronger than him that are there to put him in his place. So in doing so, he is a kind of is like some sort of rebel, if you will. So in doing so, in order to get better or get stronger, he just has no choice but to be there with Godzilla when Godzilla needs him, so that he can have his rematch with Godzilla so that he can both surpass him and basically truly prove himself as like the top dog or the strongest kaiju on Earth.
mm, yeah, very interesting. I like how you have that whole personality set out for him. Definitely feels like a very Rodan type of personality. And of course, love the design. I think it looks very cool.
A lot of people say that he has a very draconic feel to him, which I mean, kinda, but I didn't want him to go with that. I wanted my version to feel like both and as Darkhead, but at the same time, I wanted him to still have that bird feel to him. Like I wanted
Mm,
this design to still be like his Showa counterpart, while at the same time feel like my own take on his Showa design, if you will.
yeah, I can definitely see that. I let's see. I can definitely see like the whole draconic design, but it's still very unique enough to where it's not like just a dragon or something, you know? It very much feels like a very hardcore design for like a pterosaur. And then, it stands out that way. I think it's very cool. This is
So
not a change I would recommend, but I want to just quickly, let's see. Let me see if I could find it because nope, this. Oh, can't have that. What happened here? Can you tell? Let's see. Uh, let's see. Rodan concept art 2019. Here we go. Images. It kind of reminds me of the whole like vibe of the concept art, but yeah. There was this version of Rodan that had like these spikes or prongs coming out of his wings.
Is it okay if you can show them?
Hmm?
You can show the concept art if you will.
Is it not showing on the regular screen?
No, it's
Let's
not
see.
showing.
Stop sharing. See, I have to figure that out. But let me
It's
see. I'll present that. Share. Here we go. Let's see. It should be up there now.
okay.
Can
I can see
you
it
see
now.
this?
Yes, I can see it.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I I get what you're trying to say, and yeah, the monstrous Rodan was one of the inspirations for my version Rodan. Yes, I get it. But at the same time,
Hmm.
I still want my version of Rodan to be distinct enough so people don't compare it to the monsters, despite the fact it does have some similarities. But I still wanted Rodan to be a lot more. I still wanted my version to pay more homages to his Showa era version because
Hmm.
I wanted this universe to pay homages to the show era because it's the like I said, this version of my Godzilla universe is a universe where, like, what if the events of 1954 took place in 2000s, and in doing so, it's not just 1954, but it's all the show era movies like taking place in 2000s or the early 2010s, if you will. So yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
can go
most
back.
definitely. Mhm.
No, you can
Alrighty.
say.
Oh no, no, I was just saying. I think it's very. Let's see. It's a very. You did well in portraying all of the different Rodan iterations into your unique design. And I was always saying that I could. It wasn't like a recommendation to change, but I think it would be pretty cool if that Rodan you had the wings of like the concept art from 2019. Because I like
Oh,
those wings from the 2019 one, but yours I do
oh,
like as well. As I was
okay,
saying, it's very
okay,
cool.
okay.
All
Moving
right,
on.
moving on. Here we have Titanosaurus.
Any thoughts?
All right, so this I can definitely tell there's a story going on here with the Titanosaurus. I do like the design. It's very cool. It's very different. It reminds me of things like the Baryonyx and Spinosauruses, both in regular paleo art and then also from the Jurassic franchise.
You can
And
see that he has a robotic arm on his right.
oh, that's a robotic arm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering because let's see. It seems like he also has like piercings,
Yes, piercings.
and then he has that spike rock and roll
Yes.
punk bracelet.
Yes. He also has a skull tattoo on his
Uh-huh.
tail.
Okay, so definitely go into the story behind that since that's very interesting.
Okay, so Titanosaurus, my version. The reason why I did this is because in this continuity, I forgot to tell you about the lore of this universe. Is it okay if I can say it?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay, so the lore of this universe is because because Godzilla is one of the first kaiju's to show up in like 2004. Humanity in general decided, oh no, because this creature this was so massive and so destructive. How many? Imagine if there are others like him. So because that they decided to make sure that there are others like him in so that they can find them and they take them captive or just exterminate them. But some had destroyed them or slash killed them. Others have kept them as they're either captives or just slaves in general. And that's what's happened with Titanosaurus. Titanosaurus is one of the kaijus who is like the last of his kind, and he's one of the more stronger titans out there because in doing so, they decide to take him in and just torture him. They torture him and
Mm.
basically turn him into like their own soldier of war. And whenever someone's out there to like stop them, other kaiju's, or just whenever there's a kaiju coming, shore trying to destroy the cities, they are either taking Titanosaurus out there to destroy it, the set of kaiju's, or they can just take the Mecha Godzilla, Mega Godzilla, or in this case, as they're called, the Godzilla slash Titans Kaiju Slayers, because Godzilla, no, Mega Godzilla in this continuity is supposed to be like they basically modeled him after Godzilla because they wanted him they wanted this version of Mechagodzilla to feel like they are the things that the Kaijus fear, so that they, whenever they go into shore, they basically must get out of here because they're like like tens or 50 or 20 of these things are coming around, and they're going to wipe them all out if in doing so. But however, in doing so, this in this continuity, Godzilla in this universe was destroyed thanks to say the oxygen destroyed, or like 100 slash 150 bombs slash star bombs were thrown at him, and in doing so, he was weakened or got slightly more powered up, and because that he decided to go to the ocean, not knowing the fact that the scientists, or in this case, Dr. Serizawa, yes, when I say Serizawa, I am of course talking about Dr. Daisuke Serizawa from the original movie, because, like I said, this is very much the 1954 cast if they were in the 2000s. So because that,
Mm.
he decided to make the Oxygen Destroyer. Why did he do it? Because, like I said, he wanted to make sure that humanity no longer, if anyone dares to take the Oxygen Destroyer, he makes sure that he dies alongside Godzilla, so nobody does it. In doing so, Godzilla made sure that he decided to lay at least one egg before he died, because that there somebody in he who was lucky enough to find this lost Godzilla egg, and because that he that said person took him in and raised him and basically become, or this version of Godzilla is like the Godzilla that appeared in the 2000s is dead. Because of that, we are following this new Godzilla who's very much his own creature slash. He has his own identity, if you will, and because of that, I wanted him to feel like his own person, someone who, while doesn't hate humanity, he still doesn't want them to harm the people that raise him, or in this case, the humans who are like the main protagonists of my own universe, if you will.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, super interesting lore. It's nice to see you recontextualize some of the stuff there from the originals, but in a brand new way. And yeah, I could definitely see like a very interesting backstory behind Titanosaurus here too. So super interesting and very cool design as well. I like this take here.
Okay, so let's move on to the probably last one.
Alrighty, here we have Zilla.
So, since Zilla is your personal favorite kaiju, because I saw it in one of your many drawcasts that you really love Zilla and you consider 98 one of your personal favorite films, so I really am interested to know what are your personal thoughts on my redesign of Zilla.
Okay, let's see. As both a Godzilla 98 fan and a fan of Zilla, the character, I think this is a very interesting take on him. Like he's very, let's see, I'd say he's a little more Godzilla like in this one. The face is a little more Godzilla. I like the array of spines you got going down the back there. Feels very fast. And then let's see, the character himself. Let's see. Okay, I like all the iguana bits, the dewlap, and
You can
then
see
he's mostly.
you can also see that both on his arms and his legs, so he has a kind of sort of Z in him. you can see some little bit of that because I want to go with slightly stylistic aesthetic to his design, so he can slightly more stand out from the other kaiju's.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Kind of subtle, but it's there and I like it. I like how there's this like nice underbelly color. And I think it has like a little scale there. Very
So,
cool.
so are you interested to know this story of Zola?
Yeah. Go ahead and explain.
Okay, so my version of Zola is like he's very much the same Zola from the 1998 film, although, however, unlike say Orga, Zola is very much a clone of Godzilla, but not really, because
Mm,
during the events of the say 1995, where people were nuking bombs, or in this case, kaiju's were going around, roaming around, destroying people. Or in this case, iguanas were one of those casualties, and because of that, one of the iguanas was not only managed to survive but also mutate himself so that he can base. So in doing so, he basically become the very thing that basically created him. Because that during the say modern day, Zilla is like constantly seen by many as the oh my god, it's Godzilla. But wait, it's not Godzilla. What is this? What's going on? So, the reason why is because I wanted this version of Zilla to feel like he's like a faker. He's like Godzilla's kind of sort of bizarre doppelganger, someone that's constantly mistaken by people around him, so that he's someone that whenever people misview Godzilla, they always see him. Oh my God, it's Zilla. Wait, no, that's Godzilla. Wait, who's who? I don't get it. And so
mm,
yeah, you can see it.
yeah. Yeah, super interesting. Very nice reinterpretation of the backstory. So very cool. I like it a lot.
But also,
Right.
by the way, if you're interested, yes, my version can breathe fire. Yeah, he can breathe green fire.
Oh, that's cool. It's always a nice inclusion to have a cool fire breath when it comes to Zilla or
So
Godzilla.
yeah,
Let's see. So that's about it for all of your Godzilla stuff, right?
yes, that's it. And on the upper, there's it's also like I said, these are non-related Godzilla designs. These are, like I said, I love Gachi Akuta, so I want to show you the characters from that manga to, I don't know, see your thoughts on how I drew them.
Yeah. So you have the first one here. That's also your profile pic right now.
Yes. This guy is his name is Zolo Typhon. He's the main villain slash antagonist of the manga. He's the leader of the evil organization that tries to take down the organization that the main character belongs in. I won't spoil anything because I want to you to read the manga so that you can see what you think of it. So that I don't want you to ruin any surprise for you.
Okay. Let's see. So I do like this art, of course. And I think it's very cool. And let's see here. Next one.
Yes, Jabber. Jabber is the wild card. He's kind of is like a coroner slash Joker of the evil organization, where he's completely batshit bonkers and just completely unhinged. And he's someone who's always out there looking to pick fights, while at the same time constantly he having the time of his life, just enjoying fighting people.
Okay. Cool. Of course, love your artwork of him. And
But
then
yeah, so that's it. You don't no longer have to show my art, if you will.
okay, I'll still scroll through. And then oh, I like her. And then cool. There you go. Let's see.
There's
There's
also
still some
more.
more. Yeah, I like her. She's cool. And then very nice. Awesome. And then let's see. That's about it.
Yeah. So so I guess this is gonna be one of the more shorter live streams, or I can show you my drawing process if you will. How I
Sure, you
draw.
can definitely do that. Yeah, no problem. And before that, Zim was here earlier. He said hi. Although it looks like he's going to be heading to work. So he just
Oh,
popped in for a second. And then Minecraft World said hello. I don't know
what's
if
up?
he's still around, but he said hi as well.
So
And
yeah.
then if we have, yeah. So if you want, um, you can either show off what you may have or explain how you go into your art process when it comes to drawing itself. But
Okay.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Here is something I'm going to draw. So I hope you have a wonderful day. So the
Awesome. Let's
main.
see.
So if you're wondering, the main program I'm doing is called MS Paint. Do you know of MS Paint?
Yeah, I know MS Paint.
So I'm going to draw my take on Zilla because, like I said, you consider it your personal favorite kaiju. So I wanted him to draw him because I kind of want to see what you think of how I'm doing things, so that whenever I draw a character or like any other person slash creature, I want to give them the sense of attitude slash personality to them, so that whenever people try to think of them, they will always think, "Oh yeah, that's that thing. He looks really cool." I want my creatures to have that cool the personality slash coolness to them, so that whenever people will think of them, they always will think of that cool moment to them, so that they no longer, so that you know they can at least stand out, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Zilla, can you, I don't know, can you at least say why do you like Zilla in general?
Well, in general, um, it's mostly because Godzilla 1998, the film specifically, was a huge impact on my taste in kaiju and film. It was the first. It's like Godzilla 98 is one of the earliest films I remember. So it ended up like staying with me all my life. And then the aesthetics of Godzilla and Zilla are just what I look for because like I also like kaiju like Otachi from Pacific Rim. I also like Zetus from Gamera the Brave. So any kaiju that's like sleek and streamlined or that look reptilian and lizard like, I enjoy a lot. So when it comes to Zilla too, I like them because it's essentially like Godzilla 98, but its own thing. So I enjoy him whenever he's alongside another Godzilla in a story. And then,
Fun fact,
it's just,
no, you can continue. You can continue.
oh, you can continue, man. That's about it for me.
Okay, so what I was trying to say is, Zilla to me was my very first time I. It was my first Godzilla movie, if you want to know.
Mm,
The reason why is because back in my place in Croatia, we didn't know Godzilla movie anything from Japan was popping up on TV because I don't know, probably because they didn't have the rights for it, or because they didn't know how to promote it. And because that, my first introduction to Godzilla, the character, was the '98 film because it was a movie that was made in America, and because that, it was basically my introduction to the entirety to Godzilla himself. So yeah,
mm,
as for my introduction to actual Godzilla, that was when I was me and my family were traveling during the in summer. my cousins and I were playing Tekken, but in doing so, he allowed me to scroll on the internet to find something on Google. This was like the early days of Google, so I was like a wee little lad. I was interested in dinosaurs. I loved Triceratops. I loved T Rex. I basically loved anything that was from the JP franchise, or literally anything from the anime Dinosaur King, because I absolutely loved Dinosaur King when I was in kindergarten. I even made like cool action, like I made constantly fantasize about the final battle in when the Alpha Gang or the main crew were to try to take down the Black T-Rex, and because I really want to like do, but sadly because I don't know how to do stop motion, I only resort to doing just cool action figure poses. So yeah. So
Mm.
when I was thinking of, hey, look, hey, I love this Godzilla thing. I want to know what it's about. So I scrolled on. I went to internet slash Google and I typed in Godzilla, and lo and behold, my very first introduction to Godzilla was the Final Wars poster in which Godzilla was standing roaring when in the middle of a destroyed city and ocean. Do you know that poster?
Ah, I see. Very cool.
So yeah, I was bamboozled when I heard that Zilla was like the faker Flash Godzilla that literally everybody hates, because everyone said that he was like a complete mockery of Godzilla, and he's Godzilla in name only. He's like the thing that made he's like the kaiju that made Toho realize, oh god, we have to bring Godzilla back this instant. Oh no, this is bad. Why did you do this, Roland? Why? God damn it, you moron. So yeah.
Yeah.
So no, you can say what you want to say.
No, no, no. That's
So
you
do
know.
you have you when was your reaction when people said that they do not like Zilla because of him related to Godzilla?
Well, it's hard to say because I first learned of people not liking 98. I would say back in the day, early 2000s, whenever Cinemassacre, the angry video game nerd, did his Godzilla-thon. And I was like, what? People don't like this one? Because, growing up, it was always my favorite. Um, but I was never really introduced to that part of the fandom until way later on. Because it was always just me and then the videos I saw. Um, but yeah, like I was just like a little puzzled and a little sad because, my favorite Godzilla is one that's not liked by the wider community. But nowadays I have my own little circle of people who do enjoy the movie, and I've also become a bit of a figurehead in the '98 fan community. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, it's always just stuck with
Do,
me.
do you have anything to say about the Godzilla animated series?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite cartoons. I grew up on that as well. It was both that and the Hanna Barbera one, which I like for what it is. But '98 was always my favorite. The
Sadly,
series.
sadly, I didn't watch the Hanna Barbera cartoon because the only Hanna Barbera thing I ever watched were anything to do with Scooby Doo, the Flintstones, or like the Jetsons, or like any of those kaiju, except Godzilla, unfortunately. So yeah.
Mm, yeah, I mean, I think the Godzilla Hanna Barbera is actually a pretty rare thing. Once it stopped broadcasting, or like because I remember I had the DVD sets for like season one, I think, or like the first set of episodes, and I thought that was all they ever had. And I only learned recently that there was like more episodes or like a second season or whatever. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's like so much that I never knew Hanna Barbera had, and I still haven't watched those episodes that I haven't seen. But I used to have like the first few DVD sets, I don't have them anymore because they're old and all scratched up. But I did meet Tom Cook, I believe, who was one of the animators at Comic Con. I got his autograph of a Godzilla print that he had for Hanna
Oh, sweet.
Barbera, so that's cool. Yeah, I got a picture too.
Also, I heard
Um,
that you. Also, I heard that you were talking to Matt Frank from the Godzilla Rules of Earth.
yeah, I know Matt Frank. I would say we're somewhat acquaintances since I've talked to him at whenever he's in town because I'm local to LA. So for things like sometimes Monster Palooza, which I just went to, or to any of the Comic Cons or any of like the Godzilla conventions that we have here, whenever he comes by, I always say hi to him. I've gotten commissions from him for Godzilla 98 stuff. And then I have this funny story I love to tell of how he saved my life because when I was going to meet Steve Wang, who's a very popular movie effects artist, he had a booth with all of these like maquettes of like these busts that he designed, and it was me and Matt Frank. We were like waiting in like this groupie line to meet him, and then because I'm clumsy, I accidentally bumped into one of the statues and it was about to fall off the post. But then Matt Frank came in and caught it and then, saved like the bust and saved my life in the process. So that was
Oh,
nice
what a
of
nice
him.
guy.
Shout out to him. He's a nice guy. And then, sometimes we also talk about Godzilla, the animated series. Um, I like to ask him questions about Zilla and stuff because he drew for the comic, and he has a very famous Zilla design too.
Oh, so what does he have to say about I don't know kaiju's like Komodo T-Rex?
I don't know if I don't know if I've ever asked him directly, but I think he does like her because I want to say I've seen he does have a fan art of her with GTS Junior. I think I've seen him do art of her. Um, but yeah, he likes the show.
Also, is it okay if I ask, did you show Matt Frank my drawings of Drawcast? So, did you show them?
I've never had the opportunity to show Matt Frank stuff. Um, I've only ever talked to him at the conventions. Um,
Oh, I'm saying because
but yeah,
if you have a chance to meet him, I would love for you to like show him like my redesigns. I really want to know like what his thoughts are, what his does he have to say about my take on Godzilla, Junior, Mega Godzilla, Space Godzilla. But speaking of
oh,
Space Godzilla, I really like to know what are your thoughts on like my design of Space Godzilla.
oh yeah. Well, like I said before, I do really enjoy that design. I think it's very cool. And then when I saw the inspirations you sent me as well for, excuse me, his design, I was like, oh, I can definitely see it. And so I really pulled a lot from those inspirations when I did my rendition of him, because I also wanted to do your work justice, and then give a touch of like what I would do with this version. Because I did like that Gurren Lagann was one of the inspirations, so I tried to give him that same like spiral energy going through his body and stuff. Um, since like for my rendition, I think that would be really cool. And then like
Did you
overall, I
also
think it's
notice
a
that
very
Did you also notice that Helios was my main inspiration for Space Godzilla?
let me see. It was in the picture you sent me, right?
Yeah, Helios.
Yeah. Is that the which one is that one?
The Black Dragon. The Black Dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it. Is that another Bakugan one?
Yes,
Or what's
he's
that from? Oh, cool.
Drago's. He's Drago's kind of sort of like his Vegeta to his Goku, if you will, or
Mm,
Shadow to his Sonic. Oh.
okay, yeah. Yeah, I
But
see it. Yeah.
is it okay if I say something about how you did my design of Space Godzilla, because I do
Oh,
have
sure.
some fair critiques, if you will.
Sure, no problem. That's cool.
Okay, I really love how you did the drawing of Space Godzilla. I adore it. Uh, but I will say that the way how you drew his crown and made it, I felt like you shouldn't have separated the crown part of Space Godzilla with the like his dorsal plate or his spikes, because
Mm.
I wanted when I drew Space Godzilla, I wanted his crown or his spikes to be connected because, like I said, my version of Space Godzilla is the living embodiment of cosmic radiation. So, what better way to show that than to like show that the cosmic radiation slash energy is protruding out of his body, and I want to do that. But no, look, yeah, no problem. Also, as for like say I will say that I kind of wish that you gave him like his tusks from his Heisei counterpart, because maybe it's my problem that I didn't include, but you could have seen that I gave him a tusk because I forgot to show that, so I want to still pay respect to the OG design while still making it my own thing.
Ah, okay. I see now. Yeah,
Also,
I get it.
this might be me thing, or this is me just nitpicking, but a part of me kind of wish that you gave your the drawing of Space Godzilla eyelashes, if you will. You know, the black eyelashes that I gave them, if you will, because one of the main inspirations for my design of Space Godzilla was the Max from the Image Comics. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you did, I forgot to tell you this, but my version of Space Godzilla is like. He's kind of he's not as completely villainous as like say in the Heisei era or the sometimes in the IDW comics, because I wanted this version of Space Godzilla to um, be kind of like a sort of, but not really, a more anti-hero slash force of nature, but more of an antagonist nature, because like I said, in my version of Godzilla universe, the OG Godzilla, the one that died by the 150 nuclear bombs, he died, and instead of that one, we are following his offspring, if you will, his child, and because of that, Space Godzilla is also kind of is like his child, because during his fight with, say, a monster, we'll say this is like, say, Ghidorah, one of his cells were basically thrown into the space because of his fight with the space monster, and because that his cells were transported into a black hole, and because that other supernovas were exploding right next to that black hole, and because that Space Godzilla was born. So I
Mm-hmm.
am very much paying with homage slash respect to the OG origin story of the Space Godzilla, while at the same time this version of Space Godzilla, the one I'm making, he's a version that kind of is he's lonely. He wants people. He wants to find people like creatures that are like him. Like he wants to find someone, a Godzilla specimen that's just like him. So when he arrives on Earth and starts causing damage, he meets Godzilla Junior, or in this case, Akame, because in my universe, when he was founded by human, he was called Akame because my version of Godzilla Jr. has red eyes, and in Japanese,
Mm-hmm.
the red eyes literally translates to Akame. Because of that. I mean, you can see in one of the drawings that I made of Godzilla Jr. His name literally means Akame. So So when Space Godzilla comes and reunites with Junior, or in this case, meets him, he doesn't attack him. He doesn't fight him. Instead, he looks at him very interestingly. If you've seen the scene in Prehistoric Planet where Carnotaurus was dancing, or in Prehistoric Planet where the two T-Rexes, when you think they were going to face off or square off against each other, one that was showing off his display to show that he was not meant to fight. He instead wanted to either show off his moves or just reunite with him. So that's what I was trying to do
Mhm.
with my take on Space Godzilla. So do you have anything to say that?
Well, I think it's very interesting. It's a very interesting backstory to him and the whole dynamic. I think it's very neat.
Also, eh, I'm going to show you something. It's not my Zillow related, but it's going to be very quick, so bear with me. Trust me when I
Hmm.
say this, but it's going to be quick, so just be warned. It's going to be
Okay, are
quick.
you gonna share?
Yes, I'm going to share. It's very, very
Okay, cool.
quick. Alright, just wait on it. As you can see, these are all my drawings that I made. They're all in their detailed forms. So yeah, here, wait till it gets reloaded. It's gonna be quick. So, but do you have anything to say about, say, how Zilla was done in the Final Wars?
In Final Wars, uh, I thought it was cool. I wish there, like the fight, itself was a bit more drawn out, but and some of the scenes where he's solo, I think are pretty cool. I wish he had a better design.
Huh, that's sad.
Mm.
Um, Okay, yes, because my computer is slow and times it's gonna be very, very difficult to show you what I was trying to go for, but it's gonna be quick, I promise. You'll see why.
No, no, you're good. You're good. But I will say, um, seeing your drawing process there was very nice to see. It
Okay,
was very
I'm
interesting.
going back to the drawings, so
All right. Although, just in case,
oh,
it
why,
does
thank you.
seem like you're
Like I
cutting
said,
out a bit here and there. You'll tend to cut out just because
yeah,
sometimes when I
because
share the screen, it gets a little slow.
okay, it's because my computer is sometimes wonky at times, and because that I have sometimes very. I have to wait a long time for it to properly repress what it's trying to show. So yeah, but other than that, uh, here is my design of Zilla. Anything to say to that?
Looks very cool. I like the little what is it? 3/4 view of him. I love your style as well. It's very cool. And then seeing the whole process again was very nice to see. Um, and like it sort of gives me another side of your art that I think is very cool. And you're using a mouse, right?
Um, I'm using a
Or
combination of both my tablet and my mouse, so that I'm basically making like
ah,
some kind of a hybrid way of drawing. So yeah,
okay, that's interesting. I haven't heard of that before. But again, I think it's impressive. Like when anyone uses a mouse at all to draw, that's super impressive.
I
Um,
mean, if you want to know my principal of my high school, when I was in high school, she appreciated my art so much that she decided to buy the tablet for me so that I could get better at my
hmm,
drawing skills.
that's nice. That's very good.
Also, this won't be a meeting, but when I was at the finish line of high school, one of my teachers told me, "Hey, you Antonio, you're really good at drawing. How
No. What was that last part? You cut out for a little bit. Hmm. Let's see. Can you still hear me? Let's see. Let me remove this for just a second. See if that helps. Anything's back. Only because I can't hear you right now. So I don't know if it's just a lag from his side. Let's see. Uh-oh. Looks like we lost him. But you have the link, so you can come back in. Let's see. In the meantime, so that I can give him the opportunity to hop back in and finish what he was saying. Unfortunately, we lost our first special feature guest. No. But let's see, we're going in a little under 2 hours. So we'll wait for him to come back and then maybe wrap it up then. Let's see here. And for anyone else joining in, feel free to give any thoughts about any of the art you saw today. Again, we're doing a special feature with Antonio, otherwise known as Hoshi 0071. He featured a lot of his art today. And then I'll present some more stuff if he has anything more. But let's see. Let me message him on the side. Let's see. Did you cut out? Did your thing crash? All right. So while we wait for that, I guess I'll just show off some of my stuff maybe. But again, like I presented earlier, we got a new Drawcast background here. Devices. There we go. Looks like he's back.
Hey man, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry because my computer was buggy and it kind of sort of dropped. I'm truly sorry about it.
No, you're good, man. You're good. Technical difficulties, all part of the show.
But yeah, I'm truly sorry because my computer is almost like it ran out of battery. But yeah, I'm going to have to finish this off screen. But in the meantime, we can still talk about the '98 movie, if you will.
Sure. And then, as I was saying before, while you were out, let's see, we're going in 8 minutes to 2 hours, so we'll probably wrap up then. But until then, if there's anything more you want to say or talk about, feel free to, ask anything, or if you want my take on anything.
Well, yeah. So, what do you have to say about the cast of '98? More specifically, Nick Totopoulos, Audrey. The cast, the crew.
When it comes to the cast, I tend to like movies that have an ensemble cast. I really do enjoy the cast of '98. They are some of my favorite characters in the franchise. To this day, growing up, I've always loved like the main cast. Nick Totopoulos is one of my favorite characters. I always saw myself in him in a way that, like, growing up, I always wanted to be a wildlife biologist. Like Steve Irwin stuff, and so he really helped play into that role for me. And I love Matthew Broderick as well. I love his work. And then Hank Azaria as Animal. And then funny thing is, we share the same his character's name is Victor. So we share that name. So it's always been a funny thing, like a funny coincidence. And then Audrey, I like Audrey. I think she's all right. I think it's part of her character arc that people tend to not like, but I always saw it as just part of her character arc. that she's flawed in that way. But yeah, overall, I do love the cast of '98.
What do you had? What's the name of the French guy from '98?
Philippe Roche. Philippe Roche.
Huh. What do you have to say about him? Considering everyone considers him like the best character of '98.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that he was one of the standout roles in that film. He played the part well, and yeah, I do like him too. He's a good character. He's a pretty good role in the film. I like how he has like some of the funny moments for me. Like to this day, I still like to quote his lines of like, you call this coffee, or more cream. I always quote that
Oh,
whenever I have coffee and stuff. So he's really stuck with me.
oh. By the way, did you know that GMK, or in this case Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, giant monsters all out attack? Did you know that that movie takes place in the same universe as '98? If so, what are your thoughts on that?
So yeah, I mean, I did know recently that apparently they're in the same universe. My thoughts on it are that it's more so that '98 is in GMK's universe because it wouldn't make sense if it wouldn't make sense in '98 if GMK and by extension 54 took place in that movie because no one says anything about it. But it's like an alternate universe thing, I guess, where in that continuity the movie happened. Um, but it's whatever, all the movies have something like that to where one movie or the other takes place in that universe. So it's nothing new. So, but it's neat. It's interesting.
So, I was mean to ask you because since you're closer friends with Matt Frank, I gotta ask, what does Matt Frank think of King of the Monsters? Because whenever I saw his review on, say, Godzilla vs. Kong or Godzilla the New Empire, he considered it kind of bad. So, what do you have to say about that?
Um, I know that I'm pretty sure he likes it. Whenever I've met him, he's usually always playing the King of the Monsters Godzilla themes. He's always playing them at his booth because he has this like big speaker there, and he's always playing the theme from the movie. So I'm sure he likes it. Um, and then I think he's got some artwork of it there too. Whenever I go and see his prints or something like that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he likes it.
Oh, sweet. So, well, on the subject of King of Monsters, I gotta say, what are your thoughts on like the how did King of Monsters handle like the big three, like King Ghidorah, Mothra, Rodan? Those three.
I think overall they did really well. I do love the designs that they have for the new um, Toho monsters. Rodan was my favorite of the bunch, and I thought overall they did well. I would have liked to have seen more fights with between the other monsters because I feel that the fights, like Ghidorah versus Rodan, and then Rodan versus Mothra, I felt they were too short, or we cut away too much to the human stuff, which is something that I don't like about the film. Um,
Really,
like I wish
because
we could see the fights.
CMS constantly considers like Mark's character arc or Serizawa or Emma one of the better parts of the movie.
Mm.
Like this might be me thing, but my personal favorite scenes besides the Serizawa sacrifice is the scene between Mark and Ishiro when they were talking about the watch and sometimes the only way to heal our wounds is to make peace with the demons who created them. I consider that probably one of my personal favorite scenes because it really gets to show the economy of those two and what did they have to say about the whole situation and where they come from in general.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of my favorite scenes. I really like the whole message of that scene. I think it's really good. It's one of my favorites as well.
It's a shame that GVK and GXK has none of those types of scenes in general.
Well, let's see. Uh, in a way, it doesn't. I don't. Let's see. Mm, I wouldn't. I'd say there are definitely scenes like that. Um, very touching moments. I wouldn't say there's anything really that deep, but there are moments of that sprinkled through um, that have that same kind of heart to it.
So you're completely okay with the sense of scale being gone in this universe.
I am okay with the new style of scale, and it's one that I honestly, somewhat prefer.
Oh, cool. So what's your thoughts on the Mass Awakening scene? Considering it's considered by many to be one of the best scenes in the movie, even I consider it probably one of my personal favorites.
I thought it was a pretty cool scene. I love the imagery of Ghidorah on the volcano. I think that's pretty cool. The imagery of all the Titans emerging, I do love. I think it does well to portray the world threat that the Titans pose all at once. I think that was very cool.
Uh, it's a shame, really, because the Mass Awakening was considered like such an apocalyptic event that literally, if this was in our world, everyone would be considered this like the most terrifying event to be in the entire world. But it's a shame that GVK has never addressed those types of things because I would have loved to see like a version of GVK that fully explores those types of things, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I can get where people are coming from with that. Personally, for me, I was never bothered by it. Um, and that's really all I can say. Really, is that it never really bothered me that we never saw any greater addressing of the state of the world after the fact. Um, but I understand. If people wanted to see that, um, it could have been addressed.
So, um, I don't know what this. I mean, um, I'm going to have to. I don't know what. Yeah. So before I go, I had. Can I ask you something? This might be a very dumb thing to ask.
Oh shoot! Yeah, you can ask.
So, this might be a very stupid thing of me to ask, but how would you feel if this universe that I made was turned into an animated series? Would you watch that?
I most definitely would. If there was like an animated project about your universe, I would definitely watch it. And then, actually, just to close out, one thing that I like to ask is like, what are your future prospects when it comes to your art and your art career thus far? Like, where do you want to see yourself in the future when it comes to your art?
Well, in my dream like world, I want to be a comic book artist. I want to I want to do a career where I genuinely want to tell my stories to the people around them and see what they think, see what they had to say, see what they had to criticize, so that I can get better in the future. I I forgot to tell you this, but I have an Instagram, and in that Instagram, I plan on writing my own comic books. If you want to know,
Hmm.
and it
Yeah,
has nothing to
awesome.
do. It has nothing to do with kaiju's, but I think you'll like it because if you like a series like Dragon Ball, then you'll probably really like it because it's very much the type of series that focuses heavily on martial arts and what it means to get stronger, those types of things.
Yeah, sounds cool.
But as of now, I don't know what to say, man. As of now, I feel like I'm just life has been punching me so much that I just want things to be normal. I just want things to just to be okay for my family. I just like
Yeah.
now, judo has been like the thing that's really been getting me the most happiness in general, and spending time with you guys in general was probably one of the best things I could have done in general. I really love talking to you guys, and you guys are really genuinely good people, and you're genuinely one of the best types of people that I could have talked to right now, and it's I wish I could have been in your place so that I don't have to wake up in freaking midnight to talk to you guys because even my mom had constantly told me to not to sleep until it's midnight because, you know, it's I don't know, it's a shame that I live in a different type of you know country because I would love to like talk to you guys equally face to face, but sadly that isn't that type of thing I'm going for. So yeah.
Yeah, I get that. We're all pretty much in different time zones, or either across the world or across the country. But likewise, it's been an honor and very fun to talk to all of you. Getting to know you guys has been a wonderful experience, and it helps my day too, since I have similar worries and stresses here where I'm at. I'm in LA right now, so we got all the riots going on. We had the fires not too long ago. Um,
Uh,
so yeah,
yeah, I
you guys
mean,
have been a good
I
way to
mean,
brighten
I
my day.
thought I saw it on Twitter that, and even CMS posted about how about that one of the police shoot a girl in the hand, and I thought that was
Mm,
genuinely terrifying to look at. So yeah,
yeah, I know, but we gotta do what we can to make the world a better place. And then let's
but
see if you want.
yeah, before I go, if you ever meet Matt Frank face to face, can you at least show him like my redesigns because I really want to know what he thinks of them, and if he does, can you at least tell him what I have to do, or at least what I have to do to improve it in the future?
Yeah, most definitely. I'll keep that in mind. I'm sure I'll see him if he's ever in any of my local conventions. Like I said, that's probably the only time I ever really talk to him outside of maybe Twitter and stuff. Not DMs, but
Oh,
just public Twitter. But yeah, I'll
also
definitely show him your stuff.
also if you both of you are following each other, you can also tell him to follow me as well because I also post some bit of kaiju stuff in there, if you will.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm not sure if he follows me anywhere, but I definitely follow him on stuff. So if we ever interact more and become online friends, I'll definitely recommend you to him and show him your stuff. I'll do all that.
Yeah, but before I go, I gotta ask you: do you think Space Godzilla is gonna be a supernova?
I think there is a small chance he might be in the movie. Um, if he's not, I won't be disappointed. But if he is, I will be happy.
Look, look, a part of me really wants Space Godzilla to be in supernova because the whole thing about the new Empire was that Godzilla and Kong were basically facing off against the evil versions of themselves, like Scorpion and Shima. But no, not really for Shima because Shima was more of a tragic
Hmm.
character, and Scorpion was a evil Kong. So the reason why I want Space Godzilla is I want Godzilla to actually fight against someone who's like not only just an evil counterpart, but also I want Space Godzilla to be like someone who's like a shadow archetype, like a darker reflection of Godzilla. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I don't want Space Godzilla to be some random mutation that was born from Godzilla's cells. I want Space Godzilla to have some sense of history with Godzilla, not make him an ancient rival because I don't want that. I want him to stand out
Yeah.
from apart. I want him to have his own identity, if you will, while at the same time
Yeah.
paying respect to him in general.
Yeah.
I
Very
just want
true.
him. I just want his Space Godzilla to be cool. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. All right, and so then, unless there's anything more you want to shill, we were gonna end it there. But if you want to shill out anything more, feel free to, and then we'll wrap it up.
Well, to any of you people who are following me, follow me on Instagram, my name of Hoshi071. Follow me on Reddit, where I go by Fluid Main. Follow me on Twitter, where I go by Antonio Sip 54255. That's where you'll see me post most of my content there. And I don't know. I hope you guys, if you will, if any of you guys want any suggestions to draw me, which if that's the case, go for. Which I forgot to ask you, Vic. If you have any suggestions, which kaiju do you want me to draw? If you want me to.
Ooh, I would love to see any one of the three kaiju from Space Amoeba, maybe Kamuibas, the turtle one. Would love to see that one.
You can post it on the DMs if you will, because
Okay,
I
will
don't
do.
because I don't have subtitles, so it's gonna be really hard for me to see what you're trying to say.
Okay, I'll send you it to the DMs.
Okay, but otherwise, Vic, I am genuinely really really happy that you put me on this podcast, or at the very least this drawcast, because
Mm-hmm.
this is such a, I wouldn't say revolutionary for me, because this is genuinely like the first time I have someone to talk to, but this is like the closest thing I'll get to someone interviewing me, or at least talk about me, or about who I am, where I come from, or what are my personal habits, what are the things I'm into, my hobbies, or. So to have someone like you like come talk to me face to face, it's genuinely heartwarming and just very very kind of you to come and talk to me. I am very honored that you came to told me to just talk to me about my drawings, but also the things I'm into. I'm very happy for it.
Well, I'm happy I was able to provide that for you, and it's an honor to have you on as like the first special feature Drawcast episode. So thank you again for agreeing to come on.
I mean, you are, Vic. You are genuinely an amazing person. I thank you so much, and I really am glad that I get to befriend you and become the. I'm just happy to be a part of you guys. I love to talk to Sea Monster. I love to talk to Sea Animus. I love to speak to people like Minecraft World Kaiju Kuru. Sometimes even people like Zimzilla and sometimes Black Ruin, because you guys are just fun people to talk to. You are genuinely wonderful people, and it's a very it's very fun to just talk to guys like you, because I have never had friends who are into stuff like me, and even if I do, they are always things like sports and other stuff, and yeah, you know
Mm.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So,
I get you, man.
but that's it. That's all it's gonna be for me. Vic, I hope you have a wonderful day and stay healthy and peace out.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Adios, amigo.
Adios. All right, guys. So thank you, everyone who joined in, said hi. That was the first episode of the Drawcast special feature. Hopefully, these things are going to be a regular thing. I plan on them being a regular thing. To where it'll be a one-on-one thing where everyone gets to show their art, share their things, and maybe even do a live drawing for us, because that was a little unexpected. I didn't expect that out of him, but it was fun to see him on. Thanks again, everyone who joined in. We are going to be ending the live stream now, but you can catch me later today for the debut episode of the Cryptic Happenings podcast. That is going to be a special, another interview one-on-one, where we will be having Lizard King Productions on, who will be sharing his mysterious encounters with the unknown, and going in depth about his encounters. So if you want to stay tuned for that, it's going to be like a cryptid paranormal UFO centric podcast that I'm going to be hosting. You'll be seeing things like interviews with people, witnesses, or roundtable discussions on the topic of cryptids in general. So if you're into that, stay tuned for later today at 6:30ish. We're going to be having, or no, it's 3:30ish. Actually, let me correct that. So 3:30ish today. Stay tuned for that. But with that, this will be the Kaijunaut signing off. You can find me here anywhere at Vic Monstrous. I do have commissions open for a special sale for June. 2 characters plus background for 20, as well as a your character here or a your kaiju here commissioned here, where you can have your kaiju fighting off against Godzilla. So there is that on my Ko-fi page. And then we do also have the referral link for StreamYard. You can get a $10 discount through the link in the comments or in the description for StreamYard. $10 discount if you are an aspiring streamer and you want to get your start on YouTube. Check that out. It'll help me out. But with that, over and out. Till next time, Kaiju Seekers.